Oh, shoot.
Nice.
Peppers. Welcome to DZR, your source for all things Division. This is episode 1 of the Dark Zone Report. We got a full house this evening. I'm Dan Drax. I'm in the host chair for the night. We are glad you are with us. Let's go around the horn, introduce who we have with us tonight. First off, we've got the official bartender of the Dark Zone Report, Golden Boy. How you doing, Golden?
Yo, I'm right here. I'm right here. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Glad to be here.
Nice. Moving on, we got the resident smoke master of the crew, Cowboy Doug. What's going on, Cowboy?
Hello, guys. Daddy D Fresh. You can hit me up on PS4 if you want. Yeah.
We are 30 seconds into the show, and he has already plugged his PSN.
Oh shoot! If we're gonna be playing, just get the community up and or hop along and play with us.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's what we're looking for.
Next, we've got the man who has made all of us jealous with his ability to grow facial hair, the one and only Beard Bullets. What's going on, Beard?
What's up? You can also refer to me as your beardness or beardinator, or the beard variations thereof. So all of those are acceptable.
Beard Vader.
Super here and talking about the division.
Nice. Next, we got a resident OG. That's original gangster, and not the other thing it might stand for. Mr. T, what's going on? Mr. T. Mute, unmute.
Hey, yeah,
All right,
it's
Mr. T is here. I think he's having some internet trouble, so hopefully we'll be able to grab him. And then from somewhere at an undisclosed location, reclining very seductively, I might say,
with the hat.
Pretzel Poncho. What's going on, Pretzel?
Hey,
Hey, hey guys.
not much. A little awkward right now, but I'm here hanging out.
Oh man. So it's funny because when we actually started to plan the show earlier in the week, we were originally thinking, all right, we'll talk about the trailer that Ubisoft put out, which was that Agent's Journey. But since then, they did us the favor of lifting the embargo, and there's just been a flood of information that's kind of hit the web on the Division. So a couple topics we wanted to talk about, just kind of go around the horn and talk about some things we've seen and what we think it could mean for the game. So, Beard, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, I mean, we've been following the division for a few months, maybe even close to a year, some of us. But just looking into different elements of the game, just pretty stoked about this shooter RPG shop and what it's going to look like. So we're looking at, from what I gather, it's going to be an RPG first. And a shooter second, so it's an RPG with shooter elements, and I'm just really excited to see how they develop the world around that.
Yeah, absolutely. Does it, from you guys that have kind of seen the stuff that's come out, does it look like any game that, I mean, when you're looking at the demos and stuff and the video, I mean, does it look like anything you've seen before or anything kind of come to mind that it looks like? I mean, for me, it looks like a pretty certainly the third-person shooter we've seen before, but this whole kind of blending with the RPG element, it looks kind of unique to me. I can't say that anything came to mind immediately that it reminded me of.
Well, for me, the first thing, of course, is Destiny. But it's Destiny built a universe around this mythological thing, the Traveler and all this other stuff. And I think now what we're doing is we're dealing with something that is more realistic, more shooter-based. But my problem is the fact that it's going to be third person. Now, again, you go into Battlefront and stuff like that where third person is really your best, but most shooters with the accuracy and everything else is usually first person. So for me, that's really the only thing that I'm really kind of worried about. And then second of all is, I don't want to play another Destiny.
Yeah, we've played that. I mean, Cowboy, what do you think about the Cowboy Doug? What do you think about the third-person thing? I mean, I know you being a big FPS guy, but I mean, how do you feel about it?
I was just looking through, mostly, so you guys get an idea where I'm coming from, playing on Nintendo. I moved over to PS2, PS3, and now PS4. But I was talking to some guys the other day. It reminded me of one of the games off Xbox, and I should have written it down. The name's escaping me now that we're doing this live.
That's the pressure.
Yeah, it is. Here's a War. And that whole series. And not just I played it once or twice, but I'm not necessarily a fan of the over the shoulder or over the shoulder style of shooting. They played
Gears of War. Gears of War.
Gears of War.
Gears of War. Yeah.
One of the videos I watched this week was talking about how you stick to cover. And also, like back, I believe Siphon Filter back on the PS1 was.
Yeah, that was a good game. That was a fun. That was, you run around and shoot. Yeah.
That was another game where it was like over the shoulder. I don't know. We can wait for the beta and see how the gameplay is in the beta, and we'll go from there. But,
yeah, I think my biggest thing it's funny because I got the Uncharted collection for Christmas, and so I've almost been playing Uncharted as practice. If I was like, okay, here's how am I going to play a cover shooter, right? I think for me the biggest thing is how is the movement going to be between points of cover? Like if they do that part of it well, then I think it can be an enjoyable experience. If you miss, like it's one of the things about Uncharted, I love it. But like playing the first one through, I just finished the first one, I'm moving on to the second one. It's like you can so easily like, oh man, I meant to dive behind that box, but suddenly I'm out, in the middle of the thing or whatever. So I think that's going to be a big thing how they handle movement.
From the video, to just comment on that real quick. From the video, I noticed, the guy, he would look at a piece of cover, and it felt, looked like it would be reminiscent of Gears of War, where you look at where you want to go, and then it'll say, all right, hit A to go here, or hit B to go there. Well, that would be Xbox, but we're all PS4 guys, so hit X to go here, square to go here, and then you can pick where you want to go and how you want to move based on, the options that you see on the screen. So.
It's almost more selecting cover than trying to make sure you hit no at the right time to get behind it or whatever. Yeah, I saw that too. It's like a little yellow circle or something that would look like you were selecting it. Pretty interesting.
I'm stating my age, but I remember. I believe it was the original Tomb Raider or some Tomb Raider games where you would select cover that you want to go behind, and let's say you're facing a box and you want to get behind the one corner of the box and you hit hide cover, it selects the other side of the box. It's almost like you're stuck in like the guard mode or defense, but you're facing so that you're shooting over one side of the box and your back is to where the enemies are and they're shooting you in the back. Well, I didn't see the one video you're talking about, Dan, but no, that's the other fear. You select to get in cover, but then it's not the right side of the cover that you want to be on. It's leaving you open to get shot at also.
Well, I think he makes a really good point as far as if it's glitchy, if it's polished. I mean, let's remember, we're dealing with Ubisoft here. Ubisoft has done the Assassin's Creed, right? That's what they've been doing. That's their series basically. And, they put out some really good games, but I think the one right before Syndicate was just full of bugs, and I think what we're dealing with here is, we're waiting on this game. We want this to happen. We played all these other games where, is bugs, glitches. If we do want to get behind cover and we decide to go that point, I don't even think that at this day and age, why would we even need something that's on the top? That to say, okay, well, here's a button that says, hey, I need to go to that cover. No, I mean, if you're towards that, you're looking towards that, you should be able to go to that. that cover seamlessly and be able to pop up and shoot without any type of delay or anything like that. That's my biggest worry. My biggest worry is they're going to do this dark zone thing to where we seamlessly, supposedly, go from 3/4 of the map to 1/4 of the map to where it's all PvP and we're all fighting and everything like that. Whether or not it's going to be buggy, because let's be honest, dude. Raids, end-of-game content, stuff like that, the thing that takes away from that is, being kicked, lag, stuff like that. So, whether or not it's going to be a really great game, we know it's going to be a good game. We know the content's going to be there, but whether or not we're going to enjoy playing this for months on end.
No, and I think it's a good point. So, has anybody played a third-person shooter that they really liked, that felt like a good shooter, that the gameplay actually felt good, or are they going to be breaking new ground if they actually manage to pull it off? What do you guys think?
I'm going to say right off the bat, I believe it was a release game on the PS, or one of the release game, Tribes, on the PS2. I really enjoyed. That was a third person. That was the first thing that stuck into my head when you asked.
I remember Tribes. That was, you were like
rocket
packing around everywhere, and it was kind of nuts. It was almost a little Halo-ish kind of, right? Except it was third person.
Yeah, you had, I believe, 3 classes. You had or 3 or 4 classes. You had like a tank or setup of armor. You had a guy that was more of a tank style infantry. Sniper, and then like a real fast moving. It's been a long time since I played it, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think one more thing on kind of this gameplay thing, and then we should jump back to Beard's original point about the RPG elements. But the other thing that you've seen a lot lately is, everybody that's written about it has made the comment that it takes a lot of rounds to take a target down. You see it in almost all,
thing. Yep.
Yeah, almost all the videos. There's that conversation.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. How do you guys? I feel like, so we were all, just for the folks that are listening, we got together playing Destiny, and so the equivalent to me looks like, you're in the middle of a raid with like Atheon's Epilogue or something. Like every enemy takes, a clip and a half. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I think it might not kill it entirely. It just depends on, do you still feel like you're doing some damage on the guy? I don't know.
I think initially, like in any RPG, and that I think that's a good segue into the RPG discussion. I mean, you pick up World of Warcraft and you start as, level 1. You're not going to go start slashing people down in one hit. It's going to take a couple hits to hit, to take down the even the low level elite troops. And from that video, it looked like kind of the same style where like you have different tiers of enemies, and you'll do different damage, but it's not going to be a shooter where a headshot is automatically a kill. You're going to take some work, but as you progress through the game, you get better weapons, better skills. Starting to do more damage. I think going into Destiny, I played like Black Ops before that, so one shot in the head, it was 1 kill. Yeah. Then you go to Destiny, you're like, all right, I got to shoot this guy 3 times in the head to kill him. So that was, but now I'm used to it and it's fun, and I expect it. But so it might be a transition for some people, but I don't think it's going to kill the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it'll just become. Go ahead, Pretzel.
I was gonna say, after watching that stuff, I think we're just gonna have to wrap our heads around a little more, like playing a WoW type, or that idea with a shooter skin on it, versus Destiny with more RPG elements.
Yeah.
It's the way it's looking, and then they're saying you're not locked. It doesn't level scale. So there are areas you could go and get one-shotted, and once you get to a certain point, you'd be able to come back to probably certain areas and be able to one-shot certain enemies. But look at it more along the lines of like the Final Fantasy RPG, where it takes, it's a slugfest with numbers flying everywhere, trying to whittle them down. But it just has the look and the feel of shooting guns instead of slinging swords and stuff.
Yeah. So Golden, I know you're a big Final Fantasy guy. I mean, can you kind of speak to that a little bit, just how that plays? And I mean, do you still feel like your shots matter? I mean, do you still really work hard to aim and stuff, or is it kind of like, well, it's going to take a year and a half to kill this guy anyway? So how does it change the gameplay?
Well, Pretzel makes a really good point. It's like, okay, well, we are playing a shooter here. Final Fantasy is more of a, it's still a turn-based type situation. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm going to go back to what Beard said as far as the headshots. Now, I watched a lot of the videos. I'm watching one now. And the thing is, yeah, I don't know really the answer to bullet sponge, because I mean, you're sitting there, you're shooting an enemy over and over and over so many times, and right, yeah, and so
it's going to be built around that.
Correct, right, yeah. So my thing is with that being said, what about game mechanics? What about the raids in Destiny, the raids, and that's one thing Final Fantasy did do. The mechanics, going through certain types, you have to do something for a certain amount of time, and then I think Destiny kind of got it right with like the priest and with orcs and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that what they do is they add an element of mechanics more than just shooting a bunch of bullets at a target.
Yeah. No, and it seems like the stuff. I mean, so we obviously haven't seen, I don't think, any real endgame content on any of the stuff. But what you do see is even in some of these boss type encounters, it looks like the mechanics are going to be about what angles are you taking, who's behind what cover, how are you utilizing your skills, things like that. Which is the other really interesting part, I think, about what we've seen so far. That kind of RPG element that I really like is this just huge depth of skills and talents, and a lot of the stuff that was out before was that, like, even your weapons, you could roll the same weapon, could have the same exact stats, but it could interact with your skills differently based on these kind of sub-perks and things. And, I mean, that's pretty exciting for somebody like me, because I really, I kind of like to nerd out on that, that kind of min-max
That's
idea.
Pretzel. That's all Pretzel right there.
Yeah, and really figuring out, how do you really get the most out of the skills and stuff. And I love the fact, I mean, we just should talk about this. I love the fact, that it was talked about a lot this week, that you don't have to pick a class, and so, I mean, maybe early in the game it's going to be dependent on how much time you spend on upgrading, the different areas of your home base, which is going to serve to unlock your skills and stuff. You'll probably have a focus early in the game, but as you progress, I mean, it looks like you're going to have access to everything. So if you get in a fight and you say, oh, you know what, Cowboy Doug's a little better with this class, and I'm playing with him today, so I'm going to switch up my style a little bit. It looks like there's the flexibility to do that, which I think is going to be really cool. What's that?
I don't know if you won't be able to do that on the fly. You'll die, and then you'll switch your skills, and then you'll come back into the fight. You know what I mean? It's not.
Well, it's funny. I was watching somebody this week that was saying, like, hey, you might not want to do that out of cover, but there are definitely scenarios where you can get behind cover, have somebody cover you, and switch up almost your whole makeup in the middle of a firefight, which is pretty cool.
That's another thing. Hopefully that we're able to switch things out a lot faster than normal, because most RPGs that I've been playing, it takes so long to switch out from one class to another.
Okay.
Well, I wonder if they'll have like macros set up, like in World.
Yep.
You can just hit F12 and you totally switch all your skills. Everything's just like everything's switched up. So you hit one button or a combination of buttons. Maybe you hold R1, then you select your square macro. Now you're a healer instead of a tank. Something like that.
That would be great. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Loadout management.
Yes.
Do it quickly. Yeah, it would be really cool.
It is a Xbox is sponsoring it, but is coming behind the commercializing of it. But also you have that center button on the PS4. It would be nice to be able to scroll that up or down to select, that center touchpad. If you push up, you push down and it moves to another class. That would be another way to, select different loadouts.
Yeah, it'd be rad.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like from all the gameplay that we've seen, generally, you have 3 kind of weapons equipped at any given time, right?
Two primary, one
and
secondary.
a sidearm.
Yep.
Yeah, and a sidearm basically. Which, it's funny because you're watching, you can't tell what they're doing with the controllers, but we've all kind of seen, you get the little boxes pop up on the top where they can kind of, scroll left or right. And so I'm interested to get my hands on it, man. I want to see kind of how the thing plays. But, I mean, I guess the other thing that I'm really just, it's been interesting this week is you've seen a lot about the depth of the weapons modifications.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which has me really excited. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a developer podcast out there. We can always link to it in the show notes, but where they actually talk to the Red Storm guys that designed the weapons. I mean, the depth that they've gone to actually kind of put these things together. I was listening to like I said, these Red Storm guys, and they were talking about how they were modeling individual springs and components and really assembling these like they were real firearms, which really gives you a lot of flexibility when it gets to modifying different parts. But at least what we've seen, it looks like barrels, muzzle brakes, grips, optics, magazines, and who knows what else, skins. It looks like there's a good amount of skins you can do on weapons and stuff. So it looks pretty deep. I mean, I don't know what you guys have thought about what you've seen on the weapon mods.
Well, Dan, you were talking about that publisher's podcast. I found it on SoundCloud, but I was listening to the one where they're talking about the audio setup and how those guys went out to the desert and reviewed all the guns and just recordings. That's very, very interesting. Got raised able to shoot some guns and growing up, and it's pretty cool for them to be able to go and shoot everything, but to actually have those actual sound effects and be able to use them in the game. Along with
How do I get that? I want to go test weapons for games.
Yeah, Red Storm, if you are hiring for the guys that actually shoot these, you've got 5 guys here that would be more than ready to help. I think the other thing, too, we've gotten to see a little bit of the loot, them finding, like, crate, there's those kind of crate-looking things or picking up off enemies. But I'm going to be really interested, too, to see how they kind of manage that. There is going to be an element of RNG, which I know is Cowboy Doug's favorite thing, and will no doubt provide some fascinating content for the show going forward.
Yes.
But, but there is going to be a little bit of that going on so they can keep variation. But I'm just interested to see, man, how quick do you progress? How does the loot drop? I want to play.
By the way, are we starting that right now? Starting that whole RNG discussion?
No, we should leave that alone.
Well, I will say this, that the guy, I guess he played 3 hours of it. And again, we're going off of some guy that, posted stuff on YouTube or whatever. But, he said that basically within a week, you can pretty much level up your guy, level up your character, and then get your home base. That's another thing. Destiny had a really great thing with the tower and everything, and then they did the reef or whatever. But I think with this, with the Division, that you can actually level up your meds and then your tech and your stuff like that. But my thing is again, are we going to be playing Division for a week? Or are we going to play Division for a year?
Yeah. It's going to be the shortest running podcast in history if we all only play this thing for a week.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll have to talk about something else.
However, we can talk about on the 19th, so I believe it's Tuesday, World of Tanks is going to be...
World of Tanks. Hey, it looks good. That's Cowboy Doug. You can find him on Twitter. He's already spinning off his own show.
World of Tanks. No, guys, it's free, though, so if... World play World no matter what, but
he's plugging. He's plugging right now.
Already plugging.
That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, that's fine.
By the way, shout out to PSN. They had a PlayStation Network. The guys at another podcast I listened to, but they had an interview with the dev team from World of Tanks. I listened to that the other day. That was
What?
World of Tanks.
Up in a couple weeks, and the Division's not out there. Look up PSN and listen to their podcast because they did a sweet job. It's well, I mean, the game's been around for a long time. It's on Xbox, so it's not going anywhere.
Cowboy Doug, can you tell us what you think of show planning and agendas and putting together a podcast? How do you feel about that? Cowboy Doug says agendas are
There's nothing. Cowboy Doug
Anthrax also.
Oh, boy,
Speaking
so
of that, hey, listen, man. I want to do some Destiny War Priest, man. If you guys are up for it, I'm trying to get some
We're doing
320
it.
loot.
We're doing
Because
a
that's
show
awesome.
here. We're doing a show here. Oh my goodness, you guys are too much. All right, I guess it's a good time to segue into the next part of the show here. So, I think so we know now the beta's confirmed, coming out for us PlayStation guys.
29th.
January 29th, which by the way, most likely you'll be able to see somebody from the Dark Zone Report streaming. We're on Twitch, twitch.tv, Dark Zone Report. You can find us. You'll be able to catch one or more of us playing probably most of the hours that the beta is available.
Yes.
I'm assuming Golden, you're gonna put in at least 3/4 of that time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I guess the question I have for you guys is, if you can come down to specifics, like what are you really looking forward to testing, kind of when it comes to I can tell you what it is for me on the beta. The mystery around the crafting system in this game has been, at first it was like, oh yeah, there's going to be heavy crafting, and then it kind of disappeared, and then, it's really kind of come back to the forefront. There was that one video where they were in the base of operations, and you see a crafting station, and there's been other conversations about it. I mean, what are you guys hoping for from the crafting in the game? I know we have a couple big-time Fallout 4 players here. So maybe just talk about kind of what for me, I really want to see what the crafting is like. Is it this minor little part of the game where you get a couple things and slap together some mods, or is it a major part of the game? But what do you guys think about that, and what are you kind of hoping it'll be in the game? Cowboy Doug, I know you're a big Fallout guy. What do you think of crafting in a game?
on that one.
Yeah, I didn't know. I have many. Yeah, go ahead. I didn't know who was gonna go first.
Go ahead, Cowboy. World of Tanks. No.
Yeah.
I,
Hashtag.
Fallout 4 fan. I wasn't a fan of it. Let me think about that. Let me think of a game that I would look to really talk about the crafting, because I'll get back.
I'll make another World of Warcraft reference here. Like with WoW, like the crafting is just such a big element of RPGs, because people can specialize. They can kind of make their whole gameplay about crafting and then giving to other people. Or selling to other people. There's a whole economy that comes with crafting, like in games. So people are just kind of able to, if they're kind of, I guess, entrepreneur-minded, and they take that game to that level, they're not really looking to fight the big boss or get the big loot. They're like, hey, let's see if I can level this up and just sell to the people, and how much gold can I make, like that's some people's agenda in RPGs. They just want to make the most money in the game. They don't care really about any other accolades. So it just opens up a whole nother I guess what do you call it? Just a whole nother group of people that would appeal.
Different audience.
It's almost it's a niche. It's their way of playing. That's how they get their enjoyment out of different games.
Yeah, and I'm getting my phone's getting blown up here from Mr. T, who's having some internet issues, so he couldn't be with us. But he's mentioning that Dying Light had a great kind of crafting element. I mean, we have any Dying Light players here? Did you play that, Golden?
I did not. I went ahead and went with Fallout, and and then Witcher. So as far as like the crafting thing, I think that if they do put that into a shooter, I think that's going to be an amazing thing. But so then do we go into a thing to where someone's going to start crafting and making like this great OP weapon, and then put it on and then start selling it, and the next thing we know, we're going to go into PvP, and we're going to see this one weapon over and over and over. That's that's the one thing that I see a lot of, even in Black Ops and stuff like that. There's always this weapon that someone has, or that they put out, that's really, really great, that runs for about 2 weeks, and then they put out another one, and then people get that one. A balance. I would really like a lot of balance in this game.
Yeah, going to echo that, I think, and the clan played Black Ops, what was it, 2 weeks ago or last week? But, excuse me. I think Treyarch has done a fantastic job just keeping all their weapons, and it seems with Black Ops, I mean, you had a couple guns that were unbalanced, and they fixed it. Black Ops 2, and now with Black Ops 3, they had done a fantastic job almost every single game, making sure that their guns are balanced. And you play other games, and maybe it goes for the Division also, maybe the fear with crafting. They get their hands on it and they nerf a weapon too much, or it's OP like you were talking about. That could be another thing where it scares people crafting, because they're like, hey, why am I going to spend all this time developing a weapon and it's just going to get, or no, crafting a weapon and it's just going to get nerfed?
Well, and I think the thing that if it's done well that crafting can do for you though is it can really encourage exploration. You know what I mean?
No, I'm all for crafting. I am. I just don't want it to be a situation to where I got this one guy producing a bunch of weapons that are that I can't that some people are buying, and I'm getting killed in PvP every day by it.
Well, so do we know? And I guess that's another interesting question. I mean, I know early on there was talk that there was going to be a trading kind of mechanic in the game, although I never really got. And I don't know. I mean, you guys can comment on this. I can't say that I've seen with kind of any kind of certainty what the level of that's going to be. Is it just going to be you're trading some of your old stuff into an NPC? I haven't seen anything on player-to-player trading as of yet. I don't know if you guys have or not.
I was just about to mention that. Like, is there even trading in this game, or are we?
I haven't seen it. I
I have not heard anything about it. No, sir.
Yeah. So I think
you're still gonna, if someone in YouTube and Twitch and all this other stuff, you're still going to have those videos. Hey, I made this weapon. Videos saying, hey, I went to this spot and got this. I went to this spot and got that. You put all this
just like Fallout
to make this much damage per headshot or whatever. And that's where, and you said, we joked about it earlier, but the RNG. But I have horrible experience with Destiny, but whatever, we're not talking. I'd rather have point on the map.
Great for us.
So,
my RNG was good.
You have to have points on the map where you go with your team to, flush out a warehouse or, get to the top of a skyscraper to get these weapons, and then your team gets it. But to have the RNG factor play into it, you can go and do this and not have drops. I mean, you guys are still talking about to this day how you're doing Works Hard mode and you're jack squat. So why even play? And that's we texted the other day about this. Why even play these type of games where you're waiting on RNG to drop something? You're waiting on this mythical fairy to wait for one. No, I'm dead serious.
You know what?
I'm listening. I'm listening. Yep.
Last time Cowboy Doug saw a mythical fairy, he shot it.
Let's just grab
Gallahorn after playing damn Payday. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, the Gallahorn. Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. I think
the struggle.
The struggle is real. I think
it is.
that RNG is fine if there's enough. I'm okay with chasing. As long as there's enough balance where you can compete. Like Gallahorn was the extreme situation, right? Where if you didn't have a Gallahorn, you weren't going to be able to find a group to do certain activities. It was way harder to do other things.
Yes.
But if there had been something that was like Gallahorn, or 2 or 3 things that were at least somewhat similar, then it wouldn't have been as big a deal. I think where that really plays in is where there's one weapon, right, that's like the master key to every situation. And to have it be totally random. I mean, here's the deal. My bottom line on crafting is this. I like that element of a game where you can really kind of think through how can I tweak my weapons and all this.
Yes.
And I think that if it's done right, it can encourage exploration in this supposedly huge, massive world. For materials, exactly. Yeah. And so to the extent that it does that, I think it could be really good.
Well, I think you're going to have the Fallout people among us still wander to the outskirts of the map, even if loot isn't going to drop. Because how many people have thought about, would it be awesome if Fallout took place in New York City?
Mhm.
Or would it be awesome?
Right.
I live on the outskirts of Philly in New York City. How awesome would it be to, explore these the train tunnels or the subway tunnels if no one was there? You're not allowed to do it now. And
An interesting
there's
concept.
opportunities to wander through train tunnels and I don't know.
That'll be the Subway DLC that'll come out. Maybe. Beard, what something from the beta that you're really excited about, looking forward to kind of getting your hands on? What would it be?
Well, real quick, I was just kind of curious. Do you think playing this game in New York City will translate to real life? Like, if you go there in real life, you'll be like, I know exactly where I am.
The podcast.
I'll join New York.
Well, yeah, just get covered. Just get covered.
All right. Well, we got some
Sorry.
crazy sound there from somebody. Settle down.
First podcast.
But, sorry, what was the question?
Yeah. Question from you, Beard, was, how close is this going to be to real life? Go ahead, Cowboy Doug. You got an answer or a thought there?
I was going to say the third or fourth episode of the director's podcast that we're talking about, the guys went and shot for 6 days, I believe it was.
Yeah, they said like thousands and thousands of pictures.
Thousands of photos, and the director or one of the photographers, I think it was with his wife. I could be speaking wrong, but he was saying that he has played this game so much, if he go there with his wife, that he could point out where he was in the city off of the photograph. So yes, I believe that if you're from New York or from the area and work there, it's still going to run down and whatever, but I believe by what they said in the podcast, you're still going to be able to realize where you're at in the game because they took such care to make everything accurate.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah.
No, and I think too, like some of the clips we saw are very, very recognizable. Whether it's the library, where the base of operations is, whether it's the Flatiron building that we saw in a bunch of the trailers, or Madison Square Garden. We saw that we had the one video come out with folks playing there. I mean, the one video I'm trying to think who put it out, but there was actually a mission where they were like down on the floor at Madison Square Garden, and you could see looked like the basketball, wood flooring, and that was where the mission was staged. I mean, it was just really cool stuff like that. I think with that'll really add to the experience.
That's pretty neat.
Well, so Beard,
virtual reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, New York City.
One more thought on this, Cowboy Doug.
I was going to say it's going to give you that I Am Legend feeling.
Nice.
But you're actually going to be there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Beard, something else from the beta that you really want to get your hands on and take a look at?
Yeah, just like I just want to see what the surprise is. Like the surprise. They've released so much stuff already, but like what more do they have?
Yeah.
Wait for the player to discover, and we won't really. We have 3 days with it, coming up, but we'll have just kind of scratch the surface of some of it. But as far as beta goes, I just I want to explore the shooting mechanics. Obviously, see how much of a shooter versus RPG it is. You know? And like you asked before, if we've played third-person shooters, well, like Tom Clancy games, I've played Splinter Cell games, which is a third-person, over-the-shoulder, which I really enjoy. There's a lot of stealth element to that one, though, and that works with third-person because you can't get flanked as easily. You have more of a peripheral, which I think will benefit the player. Especially with this AI that they're talking about. Like if you're not putting down cover fire, man, they're gonna come flank you. And in first person, you got this box that you're looking through, but with third person, you can see around you a little bit better.
I mean, the AI looks great. Whether it's the flanking maneuvers that you see, you got guys charging you with baseball bats and axes, and but it looks like it's going to be a reasonably intelligent AI, which I think makes a lot of difference. It certainly adds to the realism of it. So, yeah, it's exciting, man. We've been waiting for this game for a long time. It's really cool that finally going to get the opportunity to put some hours in on it. So it's going to be great. Really excited about it, guys. Unless anybody has anything else, I think we're getting close to wrapping up the show here. Any final thoughts from anybody?
I was just gonna say that as far as the items and the crafting and all that, what is gonna be nice, from what the guy mentioned, is that and we'll see how it actually works out. If you can like transfer it across all weapons, we're saying like once you got it, you got it. For some of the stuff he was putting on, we'll see how that actually works out. Because that'd be nice. If you have an optic you like, you can use it across multiple weapon systems, taking it on and off. That would be really nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a level of realism there that, if you actually found the thing, why wouldn't you be able to use it across different weapons?
Yeah, not like, put it on one gun and then you're like, well, if I decide I want to use a different gun, I can't use that anymore.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yep. Golden, any closing thoughts from you?
No glitches, smooth playing, and don't kick me whenever I'm in the middle of a fucking raid.
Yeah, there you go. Cowboy Doug, closing thoughts.
I'm just glad I don't have to shovel the driveway tomorrow. There wasn't that much snow today.
There you go. And if you want to find Cowboy Doug on World of Tanks, you can find him at
World of Tanks.
Beard, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, well, I just say if you're a shooter guy, you like shooters, looking into this game, just adjust your expectations because it's not going to be your traditional shooter.
Yeah.
But if you're an RPG guy who likes, like me, who likes shooter elements, I mean, I love both genres, so I'm hoping that this is like the best combination possible.
They've finally managed to combine the things you love. Maybe.
This is the game. Hopefully.
All right, well, hey, special thanks to everybody that got on tonight. A great first show, I think. And listen, if you're out there listening, we'd love to incorporate some kind of listener content into the show. So you can find us on Twitter at Dark Zone Report. We'll put the links to our Facebook presence, Twitch, everything. We'd love to kind of get in touch with the folks that are listening. And you'll be able to find us on iTunes as well. So from everybody here at the DZR, thanks for listening, and we will catch you guys next week.